welcome back to Alex's Adventures in English. This is part 2 of our pronunciation and shadowing breakdown of the Doppelgänger, read by the one and only Luke Thompson from Luke's English podcast. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, go check it out first. We covered up to line 7, ending with because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. And a few hours ago I recorded part 1, but there was a tech problem near the end, so this is part 2. Okay? Alright, now just a quick reminder, and this isn't a replacement for Luke's original episode, it's a compliment. Okay, Luke does a brilliant job with a full story, so do yourself a favour and listen to the whole thing on teacherluke.co.uk, or find it on YouTube, Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Right then, let's crack on with the second half of the story. Perfect. So, second half of the story, and which is mainly we focused in part 1 on part 7. So part 1 of this episode, this complete episode, we focused on extract, let's put it that way, extract 7 from the story, which is because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. And so let's focus on that. Let me play that back to you.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
Okay, repeat after me. Let's repeat after Luke first.
It couldn't have been you, because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Okay, remember that in the previous episode we mentioned that at the very beginning, let me draw this again. So at the very beginning, because this is pronounced with a schwa, Luke pronounces this with a schwa, this small sound in English, which is one of the most frequent sounds in English. So because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Your other. Here he connects your with to other, okay? And this is called linking ra, because in Southern Standard British English, Luke's accent, the letter R is not pronounced when it's immediately followed by a consonant or a pause, okay? But this is not the case. In this case, it's followed by a vowel sound, which is the only case where the letter R is pronounced in this accent. So this is your other. It's a R sound, not as strong as at the beginning of a word, as in, for example, red. This is more like your other hand. Let's listen to Luke Thompson.
It couldn't have been you, because your other hand.
Because your other hand. Okay. So.
Was clasping the.
Was clasping, that's a long R sound, as in words such as far or even star. Okay, there's a long R sound, and something to mention here is that as far as this bit your other hand is concerned, we can also mention that in American English this is pronounced differently, because you will say your other hand, your other hand.
Gangway.
Let me show you what I mean.
an other.
So this is other. Other in standard Southern British English. I've spoken too much today, guys. I need to okay, I need to rest. Okay.
Other.
No ra at the end, but in this case, because in the dictionary it's followed by a pause, right? But not in the extract from the story. But what about American English? In most accents in American English,
Other.
right? That's different. And what about the word hand?
Hand.
American?
Hand.
That's in the US. Hand. So it's different, isn't it? And what about the verb clasping, which comes from clasp. Clasp, with this long R sound in British English in the UK. And what about in the US?
Clasp.
All right, it's different. So anyway, we've got clasping, and then comes the word woman.
Woman.
In British English, American English.
Woman.
Yeah, so it's different. Anyway, and opposite in British English.
Opposite.
And American English.
Opposite.
There's usually a distinction between or in British English and are in American English. For example, words such as a lot of people. That's British English, but American English. Let's hear first
Lot.
British English.
Lot.
But in American English,
Lot.
Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. So opposites in standard Southern British English, Luke Thompson's accents. Okay, let's continue, guys. Now we're going to shadow Luke Thompson. Okay, we're going to try and shadow him. But before we do that, let me check. If you've got any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. And if you want to, you can introduce yourselves, letting me know where you're from, where you're watching me from, and if you've got any questions. Okay. All right. So let's continue with shadowing bit.
Hand of the woman opposite. because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Because your other hand was clasping the because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
The idea is that you do that at the same time. Okay, we need to do this at the same time as Luke does it. Let's do it again. What do you say? Okay, let's do it again. It's a bit hard, I know.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of... It couldn't have been.
And if you want to, we could slow it down a bit.
It couldn't have been you.
That's a previous sentence that we broke down in part 1.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
And now let's change the speed once again. This is normal speed.
Because your other hand... It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been you.
Let's try it again.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
All right. How did it go this time? If you want to, you can let me know in the comments if you were able to nail it, and or if you found it difficult to to shadow that sentence. If you did, no worries. You can go back to these parts after this live stream, and you can listen and repeat over and over again. All right, so perfect, guys. We've got the next sentence. Let's break it down. So next sentence is this is the one. Let's listen to it. Remember, step 1, we listen to Luke Thompson and repeat after him. Okay, listen and repeat. After that, I'm going to break down the sounds. Okay, I'm going to explain to you how to pronounce the sentence, and after that we'll shadow Luke Thompson. Okay, so
your heads were too close.
Your heads were too close.
Your heads were too close.
Your heads were too close. And something I mentioned, well, before I mention that, let's begin from the beginning. Okay, so we've got your heads were too close. First of all, your, in standard Southern British English, we don't pronounce the letter R at the end of a word when it's immediately followed by a consonant or a pause. Okay, so this is the case. The H here is pronounced as a consonant, right? It's a consonant sound. It's h. So it's your heads. We don't pronounce the R in British English, in Luke Thompson's accent, but we do in American English. Okay, in American English, you'll say your heads. And then again in were, the second word here, this one, in, well, the E at the end is silent, you don't pronounce it, in neither in British nor American English, you don't pronounce it, but in British English you say were, except of course right after it comes a vowel sound, like for example, they were in the park, or they were in the room, they were in, that's a linking ra, okay, as I explained before. So this is your heads were too close. Going back to American English, in most people in the US will say your heads were too close, were, right? Okay, so that's okay. Let's focus now. Any doubts, guys? Do let me know in the comments. Don't forget. Do ask me any questions you might have. Okay. After that, we've got the word to. As you notice, Luke Thompson pronounces it in a way that's worth mentioning.
She was laughing.
Just give me a sec.
Your heads were too...
Okay, your heads were too close. You thought to do this. Were too close. All right. Now let's try and shadow the sentence. Okay, let's do it. Let's give it a try. All right, let's give it a try. Perfect.
Close. Your heads were too close. Your heads were too close.
All right, you've got to do that at the same time. That's shadowing, okay? Perfect. Okay, let's continue with the next sentence. All right, first we listen to Luke Thompson, then we repeat after him.
She was laughing.
She was laughing. Okay, she was laughing. In this case, we've got the long R sound, as in clasp, as in star, as in car. Laughing. But do you know what? In American English, it's different.
Laugh.
That's British English. In the US, most people will say
laugh,
laugh. Okay, it's a different sound. Laugh. It's you smile a bit more. In British English, it's the lips are neutral. It's laugh, and the jaw drops. Laugh. But in American English, it's laugh.
laugh,
All right. So let's continue. And yeah, she was laughing, and in the word was, actually this is pronounced as was. was with a schwa sound. Okay, this is a symbol for that sound, representing that sound. And she was laughing. Let's continue, guys. But before that, we've got to shadow Luke Thompson. So let's give it a go.
She was laughing.
But let me rewind a bit.
She was laughing. She was laughing.
Okay. Did you give it a go? All right. Do let me know in the comments. Let's continue with the next sentence now.
That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment.
That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment. Okay, let's break this one down. So we begin with that pronounced with the same vowel sound as in cat. That's abandoned. Abandoned again, same as in cat. Abandoned beginning with a schwa sound. You say abandoned. Look at this. That abandoned. That abandoned laughing you do. And there's an instance of catenation in that abandoned. This is something I explained in part 1 of this episode, which means that if a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound, you connect them. We connect them, and they're pronounced as one word. So you get, for example, that abandoned, and that's what Luke does, doesn't he?
I was laughing. That abandoned laugh.
That abandoned. Okay, that's catenation. That abandoned laughing, again, the same verb as before. Actually, in this case, this is treated as a noun because it's treated as the activity, you know, of laughing, actually. That abandoned laughing you do.
Thing you do when you're totally in the moment.
Again, this in standard Southern British English, Luke Thompson's accent. You don't pronounce the R at the end. You don't say your. In this case, remember that in this accent we only pronounce this consonant when immediately followed by a vowel sound. If not, if it's followed by a consonant, by another consonant, or a pause, you don't pronounce this consonant. The consonant, the letter R, or the consonant sound R, you don't pronounce it. So, as in this case, this is followed by totally, and totally begins with the consonant sound T, right? Or the consonant letter T. You don't pronounce. You don't say you're totally in this accent. Of course, in American English, most people will say you're totally. Yeah, that's another thing to mention, isn't it? The word totally. That's totally in Luke's accent, but in American English,
Totally.
totally, totally. What you get here is the second T is a flap T, which means that you don't actually you pronounce the T as if it were a kind of D sound, a kind of D. Totally, 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 totally. That's in American English, okay? Totally, totally, totally. British English, totally, totally. And right after that, you've got in the moment. What happens here is that the final consonant in the word in gets dentalized because of the first consonant in the next word, which means that you pronounce the n consonant as like this, in the, as the next sound is the consonant sound the in the moment, right? The. We call this labiodental consonant because we produce the consonant using the tongue and the teeth, okay? Lab, right? So this is actually, sorry, I'm a bit too tired at this stage. That's a dental consonant, sorry. That's what I meant to say. Dental consonant, okay? We produce the consonant only with the tongue and the upper front teeth, okay? That's it. Dental consonant, all right? So labiodental is when you produce a consonant with the lips and the teeth like this. That's labiodental. So, and you get, for example, labiodental consonants like the, as in the Avada Kedavra, I don't know. Vicar, I don't know. Vicar, can't think of any consonants, any words beginning with the at the moment. For the vocation, vocal. Okay, vocal. Or let's think of a better word in related to, well, this isn't working, is it? No, it isn't, but okay, never mind. You see, for example, the word vowel sound, or vowel. So this is a labiodental sound produced with the lower lip and the upper front teeth. So you say the. But the other is a dental sound because you produce it only using your tongue and the upper front teeth. In the moment. Okay. Now let's move on to shadowing eyes. Yeah. Let's do that. And remember, if you've got any questions, do leave them in the comments section. Do drop them below in the comment section, and I'll give them a go. Yeah. All right. We've got to shadow Luke Thompson pronouncing this.
That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment. Totally in love.
Okay, let's starts again.
When you're totally and laughing, you do. She was laughing.
Okay, get ready.
That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment. That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment.
When you're totally in the moment. Totally in the moment. Right? Moments.
Totally in love.
Totally in love. Repeats after Luke Thompson. That's a short sentence. Totally in love. Which actually was included in the previous slide here. Totally in love. And you might even hear the only thing, worth mentioning here is that, well, again, you've got totally in British English, totally, American English, totally with a flap T. This is a flap T is written like this. Flap T. Flap T. Okay, flap T. And so you get that flap T there, and which you will usually find in dictionaries indicated like this, with this symbol indicating that it's a flap T, okay, pronounced like a D, d. So totally. And so totally in love. That's in American English. In British English, in Luke's accent, totally in love. Totally in love. Okay, let's move on, guys. I'll repeat after me. Or let's shadow Luke Thompson. Yeah, let's carry on with the exercise.
That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment.
Sorry, when you're totally in the moment. I said totally in love. I was thinking about
that abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment. Do when you're totally in the moment. That abandoned laughing you do when you're totally in the moment. Totally in love.
Next sentence, repeat after Luke, okay?
I walked on.
I walked on. I walked on. Let's break it down. Alright, we've got I walked on. In part 1 of this episode, we mentioned that the word walk, the verb walk, in the verb walk, the L is silent. You never pronounce it. Okay, nor in American English, neither in American nor in British English. So you say walk in British English, and in American English, as we mentioned before,
walk,
that's British.
Walk.
Walk. Okay, you can say walk. It's a shorter O. In British English, it's walk. American English, walk. You may even get walk. Let me see if I can give you that pronunciation.
Walk.
There you have it.
Walk.
No L, right? But in the past simple of this verb is in British English, walked. The ed is pronounced as t. Walked. and in American English is walked again. And what we get here is catenation again. Specifically, the word walked, the last sound in walked, which is a consonant, gets connected to the initial vowel sound in the next word. Oh, so it's walked on, I walked on, which means that this phrase gets to be pronounced as one word. I walked on. Listen to Luke once again.
I walked on. Walked on.
Walked on, walked on, walked on. But in American English, you wouldn't hear on like this. They usually say, let me give you this specific example.
On.
That's British English.
On.
On. You might hear in American English, depending on the accent, of course. But most often you'll hear on.
Heels tapping out a staccato rhythm.
Heels tapping out a staccato rhythm. Okay, let's continue with that one. Here we've got, first off, we've got heels, heels, heels. We've got this final z, heels, heels, this long E sound. Heels, 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 tapping out, tapping. In the word tap or tapping, we've got the vowel sound, the same vowel sound as in cats. This one. This is cat, but this is tap actually. But this is the symbol representing that. Anyway, all you need to know here is that it's the same vowel sound. It rhymes. The first syllable rhymes with cat. Tap. Tapping. Tapping out. Then we connect. Tapping out. Tapping out. Tapping out. And let's watch Luke Thompson again.
I walked on. Walked on.
And, okay.
Heels tapping out a staccato rhythm.
Tapping out, tapping out, tapping out. I'm not sure if you were able to get that. Let's see if you
Walked on. I walked on. Walked on.
Walked on.
Heels tapping out a
outer, tapping outer. Okay, that's catenation once again. You know, catenation, because you get tapping outer. Final consonant in out gets connected to, gets linked to the next vowel sound. So you get outer, staccato. So staccato, this is with a long R sound. Again, this R sound, which is everywhere in these accents. And we could compare it with American English. So British
Staccato.
Staccato. American English
Staccato.
staccato, staccato, right? So let me show you. Let me go to another dictionary. So here we've got another version.
Staccato.
Staccato. That's British English.
Staccato.
Staccato. That's American English. One way of pronouncing it in American English.
Staccato.
Staccato. Do at the end. That's a flap T. Again, it's not as some YouTuber teachers call it a true T. It's not a true T there. I think Rachel's English, she calls it. I mean, the British, she usually calls it a true T, or the T at the beginning of a word in American English. She usually calls it a true T because you do pronounce it. But these flap T, right? This is the one that you usually get at in unaccented syllables or deaccented syllables, non-stressed syllables, like at the end of a word, like this one. Staccato. Okay, so all right, let's move on. Okay, and rhythm, that final word, you pronounce it like this. Rhythm. Okay, so heels tapping out a staccato rhythm. Okay, are you ready to shadow that? Shall we give it a try? Okay, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Staccato rhythm. Heels tapping out a walked on, who wasn't, as I no longer wanted them. I walked on.
Okay, let's get ready.
Walked on. Heels tapping out a staccato rhythm. Heels tapping out a staccato rhythm.
Okay, practice as much as you can. Watch this over and over again until you get it right. So, heels tapping out a staccato rhythm. Now, let's move on to the final sentence.
As I no longer wanted to look at the you who wasn't you.
Okay, let's repeat after Luke. As I no longer wanted to look at the you who wasn't you. As I no longer wanted to look at the you who wasn't you. What can we say about this? I've got a few things to say about it. Okay, so first off, let's begin with first two words. We've got as I, the z here connects the two words. As I no longer, looks accent, longer. Usually American accent, most people will say longer. Right? Let me play you the pronunciation.
Longer.
Longer, British English.
Longer.
American English, usually most people will say that. So we don't pronounce it in Luke doesn't pronounce it, so we don't pronounce it here. As I no longer wanted, wanted. This ed is pronounced as id, 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 wanted, wanted, wanted. As I no longer wanted, and the word want in British English,
Want.
this is want, want in British English with a short o sound, but in American English,
Want.
want, want with an r sound, want,
Want.
want, want. So you'll see this is the usual dichotomy between British and American. In British, usually when you pronounce an accented syllable as o, in American English you would usually pronounce that syllable as r, like lot. British, lot. American, this one, want. British, want. American. Okay. So after that, we can mention that he says, as I no longer wanted to look. This is pronounced with a schwa. It's not to look, it's to look, to look. To look at the, to look at the, to look. He makes a pause here. Yes, he does makes a pause there. So as I no longer wanted to look at the you, at the, here we connect these two, at the, okay, not that one. Let me go here. Okay. So we need to connect these two, at the. Remember that this becomes similar to the next sound, rather than saying at the, it's at the. So we anticipate the pronunciation of the th sound, which is pronounced like this, the. It's a dental sound, right? The. But the previous is actually called an alveolar sound, which is this part right behind the upper front teeth, right here. The t sound is an alveolar sound. T. We don't say th, but t. Okay? The tongue goes, is pressed against this section to pronounce the t sound in English. So anyway, the t becomes similar to the. So we get at the you. Who wasn't you? And again here we've got that you is pronounced with this ooh sound, ooh. Okay, ooh sound, and the word you is stressed twice, just like at the beginning of the story. You'll see that if you watch part 1, because what the narrator is doing here is making contrastive focus between the person, you know that in the story there's a girl that sees her husband or boyfriend with another woman. That's mainly the same. That's pretty much the gist of the story. And the thing is that she doesn't want to believe that man is her husband or boyfriend, because she says it's too similar, right? That's why the name of the story, the Doppelgänger, which means your double in on Earth, another person who's exactly like you, walking on Earth, and for some reason, which might be a bit mysterious or uncanny, you know, something like something's off there, something's not right. When you think about another person exactly like you walking the Earth, and so this is what the story is about. So the thing is that what she does is to say, as I no longer want to look at the you who wasn't you. Okay, so it's like she's making a distinction between two people, her boyfriend or husband, and this double, this other, you know, like this other person who's exactly the same, you know, in appearance. So in a way, she doesn't like she doesn't wanna accept that. Apparently, she doesn't want to accept that this is her husband or boyfriend with another woman. But anyway, what we're concerned here is that she makes a contrastive focus. She stresses both both times the word you because of this, you and you. Okay. This is just like in everyday English, we say, hello, how are you? I'm doing fine, and you? Okay, we stress the last you because we're making a contrastive focus between me and you. Or when we say, who's this pen, for example? Or something like, yeah, let me give you another example. Yeah, who is this pen? Or let me give you another example. When you say, I can't think of another example. Oh yeah, yeah. Let me give you a good example. Who let the door open? Who let the door open? I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Maybe you did it. Okay? So we stress the personal pronouns, the subjects. I didn't do it. You did it, maybe. And the other person may say, I didn't do it. You did it. Okay? So this is not common in English. We don't stress pronouns like this in subject position. But when we're making a contrast between other people, one person and another, or yourself and others, you do stress these words to indicate that contrast, right? That difference between you and another person, or another person and yet another person, right? So in this case, that's what she's doing. She's drawing a contrast between her husband or boyfriend and this double kind of guy, right? This doppelganger, this exactly identical person. Okay, and the last bit is that she says, actually he says, the narrator and Luke Thompson say, he says, Luke Thompson says, wasn't you. Let's listen, let's watch that again.
As I no longer wanted to look at the you who wasn't you.
Who wasn't you. Who wasn't you. But here, for example, this is not always the case in English. We don't always drop the T here. But he does. Wasn't you. Who wasn't you. It's normally dropped, but there are some examples where speakers don't drop it. Who wasn't you. Okay? Who wasn't you. And for example, let's see, guys. there's a famous song where the singer doesn't drop the T, and the song is this one. The song goes like this: I want you, I need you. Okay, maybe you know it. It's quite famous, guys. So the singer says, what does he say? Does he say, I want you, I need you? Oh God. Maybe you do know it, don't you? Alright, so this is Benson Boone's Beautiful Things, or in American English, beautiful things, right? With the flap T there. You say beautiful things, beautiful things. So in this song, Benson Boone doesn't say, I want you, I need you. Okay, he says, I want you, I need you. So he doesn't drop the final T in the word want, but he combines it with the next sound, in this case, which is you. Actually, the first sound in you is y, okay? So when we do that, we get ch, ch. I want you, right? So, and the symbol for that is this one. And this is called coalescent assimilation. In a word, that's a fancy name for the combination between the t and the y, okay, and which gives you ch, okay, it gives you ch. I want you, okay, you get that. And there are other songs where you'll get that too. For example, Coldplay. There's one song that says, and ignite your bones. Ignite your bones. Ignite your bones, he says, actually. Ignite your. But he combines, this is silent, you don't pronounce it. Combines the T with the ya. The first sound in your is ya. This consonant sound. Ignite your bones. Okay, ignite your bones, and that's the same that Benson Boone does in his song Beautiful Things. He says, I want you, I need you. And that's another kind of coalescent assimilation he does in the second phrase, I need you. When you combine the plus ya, the plus ya, you get a mess here. There we go. The plus ya, as in need at the end of, okay, let me see if I can be clearer with this. Let me see if I can use another pen. Okay. Need you combined, that's need you. That's what Benson Boone does. And want you, gives you this sound, this kind of ch sound, similar to what Spanish speakers have in their native language when they say che, for example. Want you, I want you, I need you. Okay, that's what you get in that song. And yeah, so that's good to know, isn't it? And it's called coalescent assimilation, which is a technical term. Let me see if I can write it down for you somewhere around here. Coalescent assimilation. Anyway, you don't have to know this name. Coalescent assimilation, or also yod coalescence. Yod coalescence, that ends differently, because yod is a name for this sound, yod. So anyway, this is a fancy name to name this fusion between two sounds. You've got ch, t plus y, you get ch, want you, I want you, right? And d plus y, as in need you, right? Need you. Okay. Oh God. That was it, guys. That's it, and that was all for today. Now, guys, we've got to the end of this analysis. No. Let me. Yeah. So, and yeah, that wraps up our shadowing session for the Doppelgänger, guys. We've done it. You've done it. I hope you enjoy this live session. Remember that this is a live session, but I will include timestamps below in the episode description, and you'll be able to watch the episode, the live session, as an episode. You'll be able to come back whenever you want, to skip the parts you don't like and go to the parts and watch the parts you're actually interested in. Okay, so well done if you made it to the end. This kind of training really sharpens your ear and tunes up your spoken English. Okay, trust me, if you keep doing this regularly, your accent rhythm, right? Your accent, your rhythm, and fluency will all start to level up. Okay. So big thanks again to Luke Thompson for the original reading. He's a legend. Go support his work at teacherluke.co.uk and check out the full episode if you haven't already. And if you enjoyed this story, the Doppelgänger, don't forget it's from Nothing Short of 100, a fantastic little collection you can find online or at 100wordstory.org. So if you enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Okay? And tell me which line was the trickiest to read for you. And to shadow, of course, that's the trickiest bit, I think. Or what word are you most proud of nailing? I'm sure you did nail some words and some expressions. Please let me know if you did. I'll be chuffed to bits if you did, and if you do it. And so until next time, guys. And but anyway, before I say goodbye, I wanted to say hi to the ones that have just joined this live session. Guys, hello. Where are you from? Where are you watching me from? Are you from the US? Do you live in the US, in India, in Argentina, in another country? Did you enjoy today's session? Are you interested in me shadowing a particular speaker? Maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure if you're interested in me shadowing Luke Thompson or other British speakers or American speakers. Anyway, do let me know if you enjoyed this session. Just to give you a brief summary, guys, let me let you know that in this live session, which you'll be able to come back later on, of course, because I'm gonna leave timestamps below in the episode description, so you'll be able to skip the parts you're not very interested in and go to the bits you're quite interested, or you are actually interested in. So you can do that. And so in this session, what we did was to cover the second bit of the story, the Doppelgänger. Okay, we did that, and we went over sounds, linking, right? We talked about many linking features, such as catenation, which refers to the linking of a final consonant in one word at the end of one word and the initial vowel sound in another word. For example, we mentioned as I no longer wanted to look at the you who wasn't you, not that one, but let me see if I can give you another example. Yeah, for example, in part 11 or extra at 11, we actually listened to Luke Thompson reading this line, and we can do that again, of course. So he says, just give me 1 second. I walked on. Yeah, I walked on. I guess this is...
And looked again.
Okay, well, that's an example of catenation anyway. Looks again. Yes, looks again, because looked ends in the sound t, right? Looked again. Let me see if I can find it. I think that this is part 1, guys. This is from part 1. That's why I can't find it. But anyway, if we say looks again, looked ends in the consonant sound t. Okay, looked, and the next word begins with a vowel sound. The vowel sound schwa, and we say what look does is to connect. Okay, the final consonant in looked to the initial vowel sound in again, and what he gets is looks again, looks again, looks again, looks again. So this is a great way of connecting words and making different words sound as a chunk, as one chunk, which is what native speakers usually do. You know? Did you know about this? Did you know about catenation? Had you ever heard about catenation and linking of consonants at the end of words with initial vowel sounds? Had you ever heard of that? So let's continue watching.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
Okay, so this is from part 1. You can check this out in part 1, which is an episode, the episode I recorded earlier on today. Okay, which because of some technical problems, I couldn't continue. My mic stopped working after the sentence. I think it was the sentence, because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. But anyway, so
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
that's another sentence we discussed today. It couldn't have been in the morning, actually. You can go and check that in episode 1 if you want a more deeper analysis, you know, a more deeper analysis. You'll get that in part 1 of this episode. But this is, if we had to read this now, or if we had to do what we did in part 1 and part 2 of this episode, we listened first, then we repeat after Luke, and then we shadowed him, okay, pronouncing that. So shall we do that now? Would you like to do that, guys? We can do that. Of course we can do it.
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have. It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
Repeat after Luke. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. It couldn't have. What we mentioned about these guys is that when you say it couldn't have, yeah, here it is. We said that's couldn't. We don't pronounce the L there, right? We don't say cool. We say couldn't. And we can even pronounce the T as a K, in the sense that we say it couldn't. This is in connected speech, you know, fast speech in English, rapid speech. It couldn't. In more careful speech, you'll often hear it couldn't, but we can do this. It couldn't have. In have, the auxiliary verb have, we drop the H at the beginning. We say of. He says actually that. It couldn't have. And there's an instance of catenation there. That is to say, linking of a final consonant with an initial vowel sound. Final consonant, in this case, is the T, right? So the T gets linked to the next vowel sound, and you get this. Couldn't have been you, though, my love. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. And what we mentioned before in part 1 was that the intonation here is as follows. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. This is called a full rise tone, because first the voice, it goes up, okay? To go down first, it needs to go up. It goes up, it goes down. This is the falling part, the falling bit, okay? And then the rising bit is this one at the end, because he says, it couldn't have been you, though, my love. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Shall we listen to him again?
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been you. It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Okay. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Did you notice that? It's quite interesting, isn't it? It couldn't have been you, though, my love. And he stresses the word you It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Right? It couldn't have. It couldn't have. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. And the you there is pronounced like this. You. Actually, what we can do here is to
It couldn't have been you,
you.
though, my love. Again.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
And looked again.
Repeat after Luke.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love. And the word, this word here, this is though. The first sound in this word is the same as in the word the car, for example, right? The th, the though. That's oh, though, my love. How did it go, guys? Were you able to do it? Did you nail it? To nail something means that you succeed in doing it, you know. So it couldn't have been you, though, my love. And yeah, what else can we say? You is stressed here, is emphasized, because this is contrastive focus, guys. Again, contrastive stress. Why? What is she implying? She's implying, remember the story, she's saying that this is not her love, it's not her husband, not her boyfriend. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. That means that full rising tone there on you implies that the contrast is being made between him and another person, right? It couldn't have been you, though, my love. It must have been somebody else. That's what she's saying. And that's what we usually use this tone to imply, you know. We usually imply this meaning using this tone by saying, for example, who left the door open? Somebody asks. And you say, I didn't do it. Right? I didn't do it. And you don't say anything else. But you're implying something else, don't you? So you're actually implying that somebody else did it. Somebody else left the door open. Maybe the other person, the person asking the question. So I didn't do it. Maybe you did. That's what's implied there. Okay. So when we use this tone and this contrastive focus in this way, we don't have to state who is implied. You know, it's usually understood from the contexts. All right. So it couldn't have been you. Couldn't have been you. Then we moved on to part 7. Right? Because would you like to listen to that, guys? All right, let's do it. Shall we? Let's listen to Luke. But after you listen, let me challenge you. Let me challenge you, guys. Are you up for a challenge? Are you up for a challenge? That's a great expression. It's very frequent in English. Luke uses it all the time. If you're up for something, it means that you're willing to do something. Okay? Are you up for it? So, are you up for a challenge? So the challenge is we listen to Luke Thompson and we repeat after him. Then I can, as I've been doing in this episode and this is part 1 of this episode, and in part 1 of this episode I've been doing the same. I did the same actually. So what I'm going to do is to break down some aspects of pronunciation, and then we can shadow the sentence. Okay? And did we shadow the previous sentence? I don't think we did we? Let's do that first, because that's a very difficult sentence, and I think that we should give it a try. Yeah, let's give that a try.
And looked again.
Let's give it a go.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
Okay, now he's going to repeat it again, and we have to say it at the same time, which is the biggest challenge.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
Did you get it right? Did you get it right, guys? Do let me know in the comments if you get it right. If you didn't get it right, which word do you find most difficult? Which is the most difficult word you find in the sentence? Or in the rest, right? Maybe you find difficult to drop certain sounds, because you have to get used to this idea of dropping sounds, pronouncing some words like have as have, of. Okay, you've got to get used to that idea of dropping sounds. So there was the previous sentence. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Shall we do it again? Okay, let's do it again.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Again.
Okay, we listen to
and
it again.
looked again.
We listen to it. We repeat after look. Then we listen, and then we don't listen to it again. We just when he starts speaking, we start speaking. Okay, we speak at the same time. Okay, let's do it. It's a challenge. Let's see if you can get it right.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Remember this full rise tone, okay? So, it couldn't have been you, though, my love. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Though, my love. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. That's the melody. So, as very well Luke Thompson did in his script, he points out that we stress the word couldn't also. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. It couldn't have been you, though, my love. Right? We do that. And now the most difficult part. Let's shadow Luke Thompson together. Okay? And after that, you let me know if you got it right. Or if you didn't, do let me know why you didn't get it right. What do you need to improve? maybe if you did tell me what you need to improve, I can create more content so that you can, you know, maybe shorts or long videos so that you can improve that difficult sound that's, you know, making your life so difficult.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
I forgot the shadow. Let's do it again.
It couldn't have been you, though, my love. It couldn't have been you, though, my love.
Right? Did you get it right, guys? Did you find it that difficult? Or was it less difficult than expected? Anyway, do let me know if you did find it difficult or you didn't find it that difficult. I'd love to know. And great. Right, let's move on to the next sentence, which is, because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been you, because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
Let's repeat after him. But let's listen to him again.
It couldn't have been you, because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. This is the next sentence. Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite. What we mentioned, what we've been mentioning so far, is that in because it's pronounced with a schwa sound at the end. Because your other, that's a linking ra there. Your other, because I'm not sure if you do know, maybe this is another challenge for you guys. Did you know that the letter R, you know, that's what it's called in Southern Standard British English, in Luke's accent. This letter in the alphabet is called R, but in American English, in most parts of the US, it's called R. R, the letter R. Okay? This letter, in British English, in American English, it's usually pronounced everywhere. Okay? Everywhere in the sentence. But in British English, it's only pronounced if it's immediately followed by a vowel sound. Did you know that? But in this case, what's going on here? Because your other begins with a vowel sound, right? So what we get there is a linking ra sound. Your other hand, your other. Of course, the ra there is not as strong as at the beginning of a word in English as in words such as red. Here it's softer. We say as your other, as your other hand, as your other hand was clasping. Okay, your other, and so as I was telling you about what happens with the letter R in standard Southern British English, we don't pronounce it if it's immediately followed by a consonant or a pause. You know, sometimes silence. So, for example, in the story Parson's Pleasure by Roald Dahl, Luke Thompson says, Mr. Boggis stopped the car the car. Car is not pronounced, I mean, he doesn't pronounce the letter R at the end because it's immediately followed by silence, okay, by a pause. So he doesn't pronounce it there. But in this case, he does. Would you like to listen to him? Let's do it.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand.
Because your other hand, your other. It's not that strong, right? As in read or risk or rest. But your other. It's quite subtle, you know, quite soft. Your other hand. And if you guys are watching from, if any of you guys is watching from the US, you'll find this interesting. In most parts of America, you will say your other, your other, and the next word, which is in British English is hand. In American English, it's pronounced
hand,
hand, right? Hand. It's not hand, as in Luke's accent, but hand.
hand,
And I can give you another example if you want to. That's British.
hand,
Hand. American?
hand,
Hand.
hand,
Okay?
Of the woman opposite.
Okay, so you've got that. Something else we mentioned from the sentence, about the sentence, is that was is pronounced with schwa sound here. Was because your other hand was clasping. That's British English. Luke's accent.
Your heads were too, because it couldn't have been you.
That's the previous sentence.
Because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
Clasping the hand of the woman opposite. Clasping. But in American English, you get something different. The verb clasp, which means to hold firmly, hold something firmly. All this means that the other man's hand was holding the hand of this woman firmly. Okay? In clasp, that's British English, and American English is
clasp,
okay, clasp. It's different pronunciation there. All right, so perfect, you've got a different pronunciation there. What else can we mention about these guys? Oh yeah, we've said your other, that's Lincoln Ra. Lincoln Ra you get in standard Southern British English. Clasping and woman in British English, but in
woman,
that's British English.
woman,
Let's hear American English.
woman,
and let me check another dictionary.
woman,
That's British English.
woman.
So and you
woman,
get
woman,
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 woman. That's American English.
woman,
Woman. And okay. And what about the plural? Do you know the plural of this word?
women,
Women. That's British English.
women,
Women. American English. All right. And what about the last word in the sentence? Opposite. Opposite. Would you like to listen to Luke Thompson say it?
Been. It couldn't have been you, because your other hand was clasping the hand of the woman opposite.
Opposite. Opposite. Opposite. Opposite. Let's listen to
opposite,
opposite. That's British English. American English.
opposite,
Opposite. Opposite. There you get opposite. And let me give you another example.
opposite, opposite,
Opposite. British English.
opposite,
Opposite. American English. Usually, in one key distinction between British Luke Thompson's accent and American English, general American English, the accent generally spoken in America, is that in words where in British English you'll say "oh," like for example want, in American English you usually get wa, ah, want. And you get other examples like lots, like there are lots of things I have to do. In American English you get lot. There are a lot of things, a lot of things I gotta do. A lot. And so that's one key difference there. Did you know that, guys? Did you know about this? Are you from America? Any of you guys? Do you live in the UK? That'd be great to know. Do you live in India? Do you live in Canada? Where are you from, guys? I'd love to know that. If you can leave me your comments in the comment section below, that'd be great to know. And but yeah, you usually get that. And speaking of that, guys, speaking of these main differences between American English and British English, well, we've spoken so far about the R, the letter R, or the sound ra, right? So this is one of the key differences between these two accents, right? Between British English, or to be more specific, standard Southern British English, the accent Luke Thompson speaks with, and general American English, the accent generally spoken in the US. We can mention, yeah, the R. The R is one of the main differences, right? What else? This other distinction I mentioned to you, the O versus R. You usually get lots. This is the word I'm mentioning to you guys. Lots. Lots. But this is in British English you get lots. But in American English you get lot. Let me give you an example. And did you know, guys, about YouGlish? Have you ever tried YouGlish? You get examples from real life on YouGlish. So this is
It does this by converting a lot of our uncertainty.
a lot of our, a lot. That's American English, a lot. A lot. Okay. What about British English? Let me give you an example.
Generally tend to be selling a lot of different work.
A lot.
Well, I think she had a lot of support.
A lot of support. A lot of support. Okay, so you usually get that difference between the two. And so let me give you another example, guys. More examples. If you're interested in that, do let me know that in the comment section below. Yeah, so yep. All right, so any doubts, guys, about everything discussed today? Do you have any doubts? Would you like to make a comment in the section below? And also in American English, you usually find words such as pronounced with sound, such as, for example, bath. I'm gonna have a bath. We can hear that if you want to. I can give you authentic examples from the US.
Right now, it might be a hot bath. It might be called
a hot bath.
calling a friend.
That's a typical word that is pronounced differently in British English, in standard British English. It's hot. You don't say hard.
Local theatre. I worked.
Listen to that.
But while they're hot, they're really good as a dessert with some custard.
For hot and sunny climates.
For hot and sunny. For hot. But American, hard. Yeah, maybe you have watched the sitcom Friends. Have you watched it, guys? If you have, maybe you do remember that Joey looks for a hot girl, he says. So hot girl. That's hot girl. That's American English. Hot girl would be in British English. Hot girl. Okay, so that's one of the key differences. So we say a bath, going back to that one, a bath. We take a bath in American English, take a bath in British English. So usually in America, British English, let me give you more examples about that. Let me see if I can give you more examples about that. Let me see if I can give you more examples about that. I can't find any at the moment, but there are lots actually. Yeah. For example, yeah, bath, hard. Can you think of an example, guys? Can you help me out with an example? Bath. Or for example, or if you say wrath. Yeah, that's another, but that's wrath. Oh yeah, I know what we can do now. Yes, let's do this, guys. Let's see if you can... Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, mate. What's on your mind today?
All right. Hello, Chad. This is ChatGPT, guys. I'm live on YouTube. Chad, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, everyone. I'm ChatGPT, your friendly AI assistant. I'm here to help Alex with all things English. Pronunciation, idioms, grammar tips, you name it. Let's crack on and have some fun with language learning.
Okay, let's do that. Can you all hear ChatGPT, guys?
Brilliant. If you can hear me loud and clear, give us a thumbs up or drop a comment. Let's dive into today's topic and make the most of our time together.
Okay, let's make this conversation interesting once again. Okay, we're talking about the main distinctions between British and American English. Can you help us out?
Absolutely. One of the main distinctions between British and American English is pronunciation. For example, British English tends to be non-rhotic, meaning we often drop the R sound at the end of words or before consonants, like in car or hard. American English, on the other hand, usually pronounces that R sound more distinctly. There are also differences in vocabulary, like lift versus elevator, or biscuit versus cookie, and even spelling differences such as colour with a U in British English and collar without it in American English. Loads of fun...
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
No worries. Another key difference is intonation and stress. British English often uses a more varied intonation pattern, while American English can be a bit more monotone in comparison. Also, there are differences in how certain vowels are pronounced. For instance, the A in bath is pronounced like the A in father in British English, especially in...
That's in bath. And what about American English?
In American English, that same A in bath tends to sound more like the A in cat, so you'd hear bath instead of bath. It's these subtle...
Yeah, that's exactly what I was telling my audience about, you know. That's the exact example. So thank you very much, mate.
No problem, mate. Glad to back you up. If there's anything else you want to dive into, or if your audience has any questions, just shout.
Yeah, of course, we'll give you a shout. But we were talking about that. You know, I was actually thinking about. I was trying to think about more examples of that. Illustrate this dichotomy between bath and in British English and bath in American English. Can you think of other examples?
Absolutely. Another classic example is the word grass. In British English, especially Southern accents, it's pronounced like grass with a longer A. In American English, it's usually grass with a shorter A. The same goes for words like dance versus dance and can't versus can't. These vowel differences are quite consistent in that set of words.
Those are great examples, mate. Absolutely. Especially the one on can't versus can't. So can't in British English, in Southern Standard British English, and can't in American English, right?
Spot on. Those subtle differences really add to the charm of each accent. And it's not just vowels. There are also differences in how certain consonants are pronounced, like the T in water often becoming a soft D sound in American English, water, compared to the clearer T in British English, water.
Right, mate. And what do we call that softer T in American English?
That softer T sound in American English is called a flap T or tap T. It makes the T sound more like a quick D, especially between vowels, like in water or better. It's a hallmark of American pronunciation, and one of those things that really sets the two accents apart.
Right, absolutely. Today we did talk about the flap T in American English, For example, in the word totally, totally.
Exactly, just like that. Totally in American English often sounds like totally with that quick soft D sound. It's a fun feature to point out, and it really helps learners distinguish between the accents.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you.
Cheers, mate. It's great to dive into these details. Let me know if there's anything else you want to cover or if your audience has more questions.
Yeah, so far, no questions. I think if you do have any questions, guys, maybe you can drop a comment in the comment section and I can ask the question to ChatGPT. Yeah. And we were talking about sounds specifically that set these two accents apart. That's what we were doing actually. And I was thinking about, some key features that distinguish the Southern Standard British English and General American English. So we talked about the R, of course, we talked about that. And can you help my audience review the rules for pronouncing the R in British English?
Of course. In British English, especially Southern Standard British English, the R is typically only pronounced when it's followed by a vowel sound. This means that in words like car or hard, where the R comes before a consonant or at the end of a word, it's usually silent, so you get car or hard. However, if the next word begins with a vowel, like car engine, you might hear a linking R come back in, making it car engine. This pattern is called non-rhoticity, and it's a hallmark of many British accents.
Right. So, you could say that Southern Standard British English is a non-rhotic accent, right?
Exactly, that's spot on. Southern Standard British English is a classic example of a non-rhotic accent. That means the R is usually only pronounced before a vowel sound and it's silent elsewhere. It's one of the key features that sets it apart from most American accents, which are typically rhotic, meaning they pronounce the R in all positions.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that today. That's great to know. For example, we actually analyzed a story read by Luke Thompson. You do know Luke Thompson, don't you?
Absolutely. I know Luke Thompson and his fantastic podcast. Analyzing one of his stories is a brilliant way to pick up on these pronunciation nuances. He's got a great Southern Standard British accent, which makes his material perfect for learners who want to master that style of English.
Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree more with you. Perfect. And we analysed the Doppelgänger. Do you know that story?
Yes, the Doppelgänger is a fascinating story. It's a great choice for practicing intonation and those subtle pronunciation features we've been talking about. Analysing something like that definitely helps you and your audience get a feel for the rhythm and flow of British English.
Yeah, absolutely. What we did was to first we repeated after Luke. Then I broke down some key features of Luke's pronunciation, and after that we shadowed Luke. We tried and shadowed Luke.
That's a fantastic approach, mate. Repeating after Luke, breaking down his pronunciation, and then shadowing him is a brilliant way to internalize those features. It really helps to refine your accent and get comfortable with the nuances of Southern Standard British English. Keep it up. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I'm always here to help. Let's keep making your sessions as engaging and productive as possible.
Yeah, let's keep doing that. That sounds marvelous. And going back to the differences between British or Southern Standard British English and General American English. What else can you mention, mate?
One more big difference is the pronunciation of words like lot and thought. In Southern Standard British English, these vowels are more distinct. Lot has a shorter, more rounded vowel, while thought has a longer, more open vowel. In General American English, these two vowels are often merged into the same sound, so lot and thought can sound quite similar. Another key difference is the use of the
Sorry to interrupt you, but today we did talk about that precisely. I can't remember the word right now, but I think it was, I can't remember, you know, I should check the story. Can't remember, mate.
No problem at all, mate. It'll come to you when you least expect it.
Yeah. Just came to me. The word walk.
Ah, perfect. Walk is a great example. In British English, it's pronounced with a more open or sound, like walk, whereas in American English, it's closer to walk, with a slightly different vowel quality. It's a subtle but important distinction that really highlights the differences between the two accents.
It does, doesn't it? And one more thing, you can pronounce in American English this word with two types of vowel sounds. Could it be?
Yes, exactly. In American English, walk can sometimes have a vowel sound similar to walk, or it can have a slightly more open R sound, depending on the regional accent. This variability is one of the interesting quirks of American pronunciation, making it a bit different from the more consistent British pronunciation.
Right, so it can rhyme with, walk can rhyme with, for example, not or lad, right?
Spot on. In some American accents, walk can indeed rhyme with not or lot. It really depends on the regional variety of American English. This flexibility in vowel pronunciation is one of the things that makes American English so diverse.
Yeah, the things that you've just pronounced that with a British accent, mate. Can you speak with an American accent, I wonder? Can you switch to an American accent right now?
I get what you mean. I generally stick to a British accent for consistency, but I can definitely explain how it would sound in an American accent. Just imagine the O in walk being more like the O in lot, and you'll get the idea.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean, and I know that you have to stick to British English right now. Yeah, that's perfect, actually. And so yeah, we also discussed that there's usually in British English words such as lot or not. In American English, they're usually pronounced with this R sound, like lat, nat, or pat, for example.
Exactly. That's a great observation. In many American accents, that R sound in words like lot or not is more open and pronounced further back in the mouth, giving it that distinct la or na quality. It's one of the hallmark differences in vowel pronunciation between the two accents.
Right. That sounds perfect. Yeah, we did discuss that today, and we actually talked about we did talk about that. So let me see if something else we talked about today.
Sure thing. If there's anything else you want to recap, absolutely. We can always dive into more details or explore other features whenever you like.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also talked about this doesn't have to do mainly with a distinction between British and American English, but we did talk about when to when and how to pronounce the definite article the before other words, before other sounds. And what do you know about that, mate? Can you help my viewers, my audience, get the pronunciation of this word, or the different pronunciations this word may have?
Absolutely. The pronunciation of the definite article the depends on the sound that follows it. When it comes before a word starting with a consonant sound, it's pronounced as th, like in the book. When it comes before a word starting with a vowel sound, it's pronounced as the, like in the apple.
The apple.
This little...
Sorry to interrupt you. Go on.
No worries. So, using th before consonant sounds and the before vowel sounds makes speech more natural and fluid. It's a small detail, but a really helpful one for sounding more natural in English.
Right. And today I brought up a story. I mentioned a story called A Monster Calls, to illustrate something about the pronunciation of this word. And in the story, the narrator says, Connor was awake when it came. He'd had a nightmare. Well, not a nightmare, the nightmare. And in this case, the narrator emphasizes the pronunciation of this word using a long E sound, And do you know something about this?
Absolutely. That's a great example. When the narrator emphasizes the nightmare with the, it's to highlight its significance, making it stand out as something specific and important. This use of the instead of the usual th is a common technique to draw attention or show that something is unique or well known. It's a powerful way to shift emphasis and add a bit of drama or importance to the word that follows.
Exactly, mate. Spot on. And you've just said something that made me think about something else about the R, the sound R. We forgot to mention, how could we? You've just said, draw attention, and there's a kind of R there, which is not a linking R. It's actually a different type of R. Can you tell us what type of R that is?
Absolutely. That's what's known as an intrusive R. It happens when a word ending in a vowel sound is followed by another word starting with a vowel sound, and an R sound is inserted to make the transition smoother. For example, draw attention can sound like draw attention. It's a common feature in many British accents and helps maintain the rhythm and flow of speech.
Perfect.
Glad you found that helpful.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I need to have you more often with me in the classroom, mate.
Ha! I'd love to be your virtual sidekick. Just let me know whenever you need a bit of extra support or some fun language insights.
Yeah, absolutely. I will give you a shout. But going back to this example, draw attention. This is a great example for the intrusive R's you mentioned, right? Because we've got the word draw ending in actually being pronounced with a long O sound in British English, and the next word begins with a schwa, attention. So, you didn't make a pause between the two, you in British English, the British are kind of allergic to vowel sounds getting together, mixing up, or so in this case you inserted this ra sound, this intrusive ra, draw attention. And can you, mate, give us more examples about the intrusive ra in British English, in Luke's accents?
Absolutely. The intrusive R is quite common in British English, especially in connected speech. For example, when saying law and order, it often sounds like law and order. Another classic example is idea of it, which can sound like idea of it. This happens naturally when a word ending in a vowel sound is followed by a word beginning with a vowel sound, and it helps the words flow together smoothly. It's a subtle but distinct feature of accents like Luke's.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You've just mentioned the most classic examples of intrusive ra. Law and order, law and order. This typical example which fascinates people so much. Law and... Oh, let me do something here. I've got to delete some things, mate. Yeah, there we go. I'm actually on my tablet, you know. So, going back to this question of law and order. We say law and order. Can you explain that a bit more? Why is it that it's intrusive ra there in law and order?
Sure thing. The intrusive R appears because law ends with a vowel sound and order starts with a vowel sound. To make the transition smoother and avoid a glottal stop or a break between the words, an R sound is inserted, making it law and order. This linking R helps the words flow together naturally, which is a hallmark of Southern Standard British English and similar accents.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you've just mentioned Luke as well, that this is something distinctive of Luke Thompson's accent, and he actually does pronounce it this is not as frequent as linking ra, right? But it does happen, especially in words I've noticed, in words ending in being pronounced with AW, like law, or draw, or saw. What do you think, mate?
You're spot on. The intrusive R often pops up after words ending in that or sound, like law, draw, or saw. It's less frequent than the linking R, but it definitely happens, especially in more casual or connected speech. Luke's accent naturally incorporates these features, making it a great reference for those learning the nuances of British English.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned a great example. You mentioned idea of or idea in, something like that you mentioned. And actually, Luke Thompson produces that example. I actually have some clips of him pronouncing that, in one of his episodes. He says, the idea of. What do you think? Sorry, mate. Go on.
No worries. I was just saying that having those clips is fantastic. They give learners a real, authentic reference for how these features naturally occur in speech. It's a perfect way to help your students pick up on these subtle pronunciation points and incorporate them into their own speech.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got other examples, including the word spar. Did you know about that? Spar. For example, the spar in India. In one episode, Luke Thompson says, the spar in India. Let me write it down for everyone, guys.
Yes, exactly. Spar in India turning into spar in India is another great example of the intrusive R. It really shows how naturally it can slip into connected speech, making everything flow smoothly. It's brilliant that you're collecting these examples to highlight such features for your audience.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, mate. Always happy to help you dive into these interesting nuances.
Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. And something very interesting about this that I usually observe is that, for example, Luke Thompson, in this same episode, uses that same expression, a similar expression, I think, with spa, but he makes a pause right in between, the next word beginning with a vowel sound, and in that case, the intrusive R doesn't appear. Does it make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Chad, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. What's up?
What happened to you?
I'm right here. No worries. Maybe there was just a tiny pause. Let me know what you need.
Okay, I think that something happened to you. Don't know what.
All good on my end.
Okay.
Maybe just a bit.
That's all right. That's all right. No worries. No worries. We're talking about the intrusive R in English and how it appears in between, for example, in expressions such as the spa in India. This is pronounced by Luke Thompson, the British podcaster, but sometimes when he makes a pause in between, after spa and another word beginning with a vowel sound, the intrusive R doesn't appear. What do you think of that?
You're absolutely right. The intrusive R usually appears when there's no pause and the speech is fluid. If there's a deliberate pause or break, that R often doesn't get inserted. It all depends on the rhythm and flow of the sentence. Luke's natural speech patterns are a great illustration of how these features come and go depending on the context.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, and so can you maybe help my audience understand more this intrusive R thing? Maybe by, giving them a kind of exercise or something? Something very simple.
Sure thing. A simple exercise could be to take pairs of words where the first ends in a vowel sound and the second starts with a vowel sound. For example, have them practice saying saw it and notice how it naturally becomes saw it. Another pair could be idea of turning into idea of. They can try reading sentences like I saw it happen or the idea of it and listen for the intrusive R. It's all about getting comfortable with that natural linking sound.
Yeah. Can you mention more examples of this linking ra sound? Can you mention more examples?
Of course. Some other common examples are law and order becoming law and order, media attention sounding like media attention, and saw a film turning into saw a film. These examples help illustrate how the intrusive R links words together smoothly, making the speech flow more naturally.
Right. And can you explain the difference in a nutshell between linking ra and intrusive ra for my audience?
Absolutely. The linking R occurs when a word that actually ends with the letter R or an bar sound, like better or far, is followed by a word starting with a vowel sound. For example, far away sounds like far away. The intrusive R, on the other hand, appears even when there's no R in spelling. It happens between a word ending in a vowel sound and a word starting with a vowel sound, like law and order. So linking R is based on actual R sounds in the words, while intrusive R is an added sound to make speech flow more smoothly.
Right. Yeah. That's true. That is true. Thinking about something, mate. Which is quite interesting. There's one example from Luke's English podcast where there's an example of the intrusive R or intrusive Ra, which I'm wondering if I play that on screen, will you be able to hear it?
I won't be able to hear it directly, but if you describe it or share the phrase, I can definitely help explain what's happening with the intrusive R.
Okay, so the example is the following. Let me go to the... Okay, there we go. So let me see if I can play the clip for my audience, and then we'll tell you.
In 2010.
Sounds great. Once you've played it, just let me know what the phrase is, and we can break it down for your audience.
Okay, let's do it.
Which it just feels like I was in a coma.
Brilliant. I'm ready when you are.
All right, we're listening to it. Just give me 1 sec.
Blank.
Take your time, mate. I'm here when... All right, got it. Just let me... Perfect.
That's a long coma, 2010 to 2023.
Yeah. Well, I needed the rest.
Yeah. Okay. Most people, the coma is from...
Okay, there we go. Did you hear that? Or you couldn't?
I couldn't hear it directly, but if you describe what you noticed, we can break it down.
Okay.
What was the phrase?
Okay, the phrase is, for most people, actually here meets saying for, but anyway, for most people, the coma is from 1 year to another.
Ah, I see. So if the coma is from, the intrusive R likely popped up between coma and is, making it sound like coma is. This happens because coma ends in a vowel sound and is starts with a vowel sound, so the R slips in to make the transition smoother.
Yeah, exactly. The coma is, he says. The coma is. Yeah, coma ending in a schwa, and the next word beginning with the vowel sound I, right? The coma is. This is a great example of the intrusive Ra sneaking in, you know.
Exactly, you've nailed it. It's a perfect showcase of how the intrusive R naturally appears in fluent speech. Great example to highlight for your audience.
Thank you very much, mates. Thank you very much. And there's another example I'd like to share with you. Would you like us to analyze it?
Absolutely. I'd love to. Let's dive into the next example and break it down.
And they are massive. Yeah. I had no idea until I saw a video.
Okay. I had no idea. This is I can't remember his name. Sorry. Oh, this is I can't remember his name. He's usually with Amber. Luke, Amber, and Paul, is it?
Yes, that's Paul. Luke, Amber. Exactly. Paul Taylor. He's a regular... That's the one. Paul Taylor, who often joins Luke and Amber for those fun and insightful episodes.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So Paul Taylor says,
So I saw a video.
I saw a video. Can you explain what happens there?
Sure. In saw a video, the intrusive R appears between saw and A, making it sound like saw a video. This happens because saw ends with a vowel sound and A starts with a vowel sound, so the R is inserted to link them smoothly and make the phrase more fluid.
Exactly. Spot on, mate.
Cheers, mate. Glad we're on the same page. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to explore.
Yeah, you've nailed it. You're very good at it.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. It's always fun diving into these details with you.
Thank you very much. And let me share with you another example. Let me see if you can get this one right. And this is a challenge for the audience as well, right?
Absolutely.
Guys, let me tell them something. Let me say something to them. Hi guys, where are you watching from? This is Alex with ChatGPT live on YouTube. This is so strange. Guys, so strange. Isn't it, chat? What do you think?
It's definitely a unique setup, but it's a lot of fun. It's great to connect with everyone and dive into these language quirks together. So, where's everyone tuning in from?
That's a great expression. Where's everyone tuning in from? Where are you tuning in from, guys? Drop your comments in the chat.
Let us know where you're joining from. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, of course. And, oh, something we forgot. Something we forgot. What about the glottal stop in Southern Standard British English?
The glottal stop. That's another key feature. It often replaces the T sound in the middle or at the end of words, like butter becoming butter, or what sounding like what. It's super common in Southern Standard British English and adds to that distinct natural rhythm of the accent.
It's a difficult sound to produce, yeah, but you will say, like, instead of saying, for example, there's something very interesting I usually hear when I listen to Luke Thompson, for example. He says, rather than saying chocolate with a final T, he says chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Or even he says, rather than saying comfort with a final true T at the end, comfort, comfort. And he usually uses a glottal stop in the word out. Rather than saying out, he says out. For example, in the story Parson's Pleasure by Roald Dahl, he says, Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit, got out. There he uses produces a glottal stop rather than, you know, this true T at the end. What do you think of this, mate?
You're spot on. That's a great observation. The glottal stop often replaces the T in words like chocolate, pronounced chocolate, and comfort, pronounced comfort, making the speech more relaxed and natural. It's also very common in words like out and got, where the T sound is replaced by a glottal stop, resulting in out and got. It's a hallmark of casual, natural British speech and something that learners often find interesting and useful to master.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And something else, mate, we can easier to pronounce and discuss. What about the schwa in British English compared with American English? What can you say about the schwa that our viewers right now can learn from and apply in their lives?
Great point. The schwa sound, which is the sound, is the most common vowel sound in English and appears in unstressed syllables. In British English, the schwa is very prominent and often replaces the vowel sound in unstressed syllables, making words sound more relaxed. For example, in teacher, the is a schwa, pronounced like teacher. In American English, the schwa is also common, but the differences in rhythm and stress patterns can make it feel a bit different. Mastering the schwa helps with natural, fluent pronunciation and reduces the tendency to overpronounce syllables. It's a key to sounding more natural in both British and American English.
All right. Can you explain that to me in other words? Because I'm too tired I'm actually knackered at this point. I've been streaming all day long and I'm really knackered, mate. So you need to make it simpler. Sorry. Can you explain to the audience what knackered means?
Absolutely. Knackered is a British slang word that means extremely tired or exhausted. So if you're knackered, you're basically saying you're worn out and in need of a good rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, perfectly explained. Sorry, let's go back to the schwa and your explanation. Sorry, the schwa and your explanation, isn't that an intrusive R there? The schwa and your explanation.
Yes, exactly. Schwa and your explanation is a perfect example of the intrusive R sneaking in. The R links the two vowel sounds together, making the speech flow smoothly.
Yeah, schwa and your explanation. Okay. So the intrusive R, the intrusive R sound sneaking in, isn't it? It's sneaking in right now, isn't it?
It sure is. The intrusive R loves to sneak in whenever it can, making those vowel connections nice and smooth. Quite the linguistic chameleon.
Right, how can you make it a less boring topic, mate, to learn? This, schwa, these differences between British and American English. Or let's focus on the schwa. How can you make it a bit less boring for viewers, for students?
A fun way to make the schwa less boring is to turn it into a game. For example, have students say a sentence and identify all the schwa sounds by clapping or raising their hands whenever they hear one. You could also have them mimic how native speakers reduce sounds in fast speech, turning it into a challenge to sound as natural as possible.
Okay, mate, something came up to me. What about tongue twisters? I was just practicing some tongue twisters these days, and there's this one with the peckled peppers, is it?
Ah, you're thinking of the classic Peter Piper tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Tongue twisters are a brilliant way to practice pronunciation and have a bit of fun at the same time. Plus, they help with mastering tricky sounds and improving overall fluency.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Peter Piper pet. Can you say it again?
Sure, it goes, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Give it a go. It's a fun one.
There's something about that. Something about... Do you know the term catenation, mate?
Yes, definitely. Catenation is the process of linking the final sound of one word to the initial sound of the next word, making speech flow smoothly. It often happens with consonant and vowel linking, like in pick a peck, where the K sound of pick links directly into the A of A. It's a key feature of connected speech.
Right, yeah, because analysing this tongue twister, I realised that it's a great way of practicing catenation or making students realise about this phenomenon in spoken language. Because of this picker-pecker. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic way to highlight catenation. The repetition of those linked sounds in picked a peck of pickled peppers really helps students notice how words connect in natural speech. It makes the concept more tangible and easier to practice in a fun, engaging way.
Right. And how can we make it simpler for students, for learners of English to, you know, to learn this tongue twister, which seems so scary.
One way to make it simpler is to break it down into smaller chunks. Have them practice each part slowly, Peter Piper, then pick to peck, then of pickled peppers, and gradually speed it up as they get more comfortable. You can also turn it into a fun challenge or a game to see who can say it the clearest or the fastest, making it less intimidating and more engaging.
Okay, let's practice it together. Okay, and let's have the audience practice it together with us. Shall we do that? But we've got to be quite careful because we don't know if their level of English is high enough to practice this tongue twister, do we? We don't know that, do we?
Great idea. Let's start slowly and clearly, and everyone can join in at their own pace. We'll go step by step. Peter Piper, pick to peck, of pickled peppers. Then we can try saying it all together a bit faster. It'll be fun practice for everyone, no matter their level.
Okay, but let's go in twos, okay? 2 words, 2 words, 2 words, 2 words, okay? Can we do that? Peter Piper.
Absolutely. Let's break it down into pairs. We'll say it together. Peter Piper, picked a peck of pickled peppers. Everyone can follow along and get comfortable with each pair before speeding up.
Okay, let me give you a tip there. If you say Peter Piper, pizza pecker, these are actually, let me write it down because otherwise it won't be clear for the audience. Let me write it down for them. So, Peter Piper picked pizza peck. Can you help me out, mate? Pizza peck, pizza pecker, pickled. Chad, are you there? Don't tell me you've left me alone. Oh no, don't tell me something happened. I feel I'm... Mates, we've got 15 minutes left. I can see that on screen. Okay, let me start you again, because maybe you've got bored or something about me. Chad, are you there?
I'm here, mate. What's on your mind?
Great. Let me let me fill you in. Fill you in is the phrasal verb there.
Spot on. Fill you in is exactly the right phrasal verb for catching someone up on the details. Go ahead and fill me in on whatever you need.
Woof! I nearly made a huge mistake live on YouTube, mate. Thank you, you saved me. Okay, so let me fill you in. We're talking about the tongue twister, Peter Piper, you know, that one. And I was about to give you a tip to pronounce it. So we've got the...
Brilliant. So the tip is to focus on each pair of words, get comfortable with them, and then gradually speed up. Breaking it down into smaller chunks makes it easier to master the rhythm and pronunciation. Keep at it, and you'll be flying through it in no time.
Great, mate. Absolutely. Can you explain to my audience what that expression means? The last one you've just used with the verb flying.
Of course, when I said you'll be flying through it, I meant that you'll be doing it quickly and easily, almost like you're soaring through the tongue twister without any trouble. It's a way of saying you'll master it and breeze right through it with confidence.
Right, perfect. And you've just said master it. How do you pronounce it in how do Americans pronounce that?
In an American accent, it usually sounds more like master, with that R sound more pronounced and the A more open. So where I'd say master with a lighter R, Americans tend to give it a bit more emphasis. It's a subtle but noticeable difference.
Let me...
Master.
Master in British English, American English.
Master.
Master. Master. It's with this vowel sound as, you know, similar to the one found in cat. Master. Master. The same as in bath. Bath. But in British English, bath. Bath. Does it make any sense to you, mate?
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense. The difference in vowel sounds is key. In British English, the A in master and bath is more like R, while in American English, it's closer to the A in cat. It's a great example of how the same word can sound quite different depending on the accent.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Going back to Peter Piper, Peter Pecker, pickled. Pickled. How do you spell pickled?
Pickled is spelled P-I-C-K-L-E-D. It's just the word pickle with a D at the end.
Yeah.
Easy as...
Yeah, I got it right. I got it right. Good. Because I'm so knackered that I can make lots of mistakes and I, you know... So, do you know what I mean? Have you ever been so tired as I am right now?
I get you, mate. Being absolutely knackered can definitely lead to slip-ups. It's all part of being human. Just remember to rest up when you can. You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll try and do that later on. For now, let's focus on Peter Piper. So, Peter Piper, we say, Peter Piper picked a pecker, pickled peppers. Right?
Exactly. You've got it spot on. Just keep practicing it slowly at first, then gradually speed up. It's a brilliant way to get comfortable with those tricky consonant clusters and improve pronunciation.
And what's very interesting about it is that it seems that you've got pairs, right? You've got pairs. But the thing is that the first two words, these are actually two words, Peter and Piper. Peter Piper, most probably Piper is the his last name, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Peter Piper is a name, with Piper likely being his last name. The alliteration in the tongue twister makes it catchy and fun to practice. Each part of the phrase builds on that P sound, making it a great exercise for pronunciation and fluency.
Yeah, and what's great about this tongue twister is that the first two words, the first pair, is made up of two words, two different words. And the first word ends in a schwa, right? Peter. Peter. The next word in the pair ends in a schwa as well. Peter Piper. Peter Piper. And then you get two words, but they're quite different. One is picked, the simple past of the verb pick, and the indefinite article a, picture. And because of, how do you call this process of linking, again, refresh my audience's memory or memory. Let's put it like that. How do we call this connection between the final D in picked and actually the final T in picked, because the simple past is pronounced picked, right? Connecting that T with the sound. How do we call this?
That process is called linking, or specifically catenation, where the consonant sound at the end of one word links up with the vowel sound at the beginning of the next word. So picta naturally flows together, almost like picta. It's a common feature in natural connected speech, making phrases sound smoother and more fluent.
Right. So it seems that picta, we get like 2 syllables, right? Picta. Don't we? I mean, doesn't it look like a word made up of 2 syllables? Picta.
Exactly, it does. When spoken quickly, picta can sound like a single 2-syllable word, picta. This blending helps speech flow more naturally and is a common feature in fluent connected English. It's one of those little tricks that make speech sound more fluid.
Right, absolutely. Spot on, mate. Thank you very much for that. And the next pair in the tongue twister is quite similar, because it's pecker. You get pecker, and again you've got one word beginning with P, pecker, and you don't pronounce the final V, right, in of. You don't say of, but you say pecker, don't you?
Exactly, you're spot on. The of in Pekov is often reduced to just a quick, almost unnoticeable sound, making it flow together as pecker. This kind of reduction is really common in natural speech, helping everything blend smoothly and making the tongue twister even more fun and challenging.
Right, so we pronounce that word with a schwa, don't we?
Exactly, we do. The of in Pekov is typically pronounced with a schwa sound, so it comes out as something like of, or just a very quick reduced This helps the whole phrase flow more smoothly and naturally.
Okay, so we get Peter Piper, Peter Pecker, and then went with pickled peppers.
Exactly.
Sorry, go on.
No worries.
I think you're getting tired too.
Maybe a little. It's contagious, isn't it? But you've got the pattern down. Peter Piper, Pictor Pekov, pickled peppers. Once you get the hang of it, it flows really nicely.
Sorry, mate, you've just used a phrase that I'd love you to explain it to the audience. Once you get that, what?
Of course, I said once you get the hang of it, which means once you become familiar with it or comfortable doing it. It's like saying once you've mastered it or gotten used to it.
Very good. Get that? How do you spell the next word?
The next word is of, spelled O-F.
Yeah,
even though it's...
And the previous one is H-A-N-G, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Hang is...
Good. Good. So get the hang of something. To get the hang of it. Can you give us a synonym, mate?
Sure thing. A good synonym for get the hang of it is get the knack of it, or simply master it. It means to become familiar with something and learn how to do it well.
Right, perfect. And what do you think if we switch to Argentinian Spanish now? Wouldn't that be a laugh, mate?
That would be a fun twist, mate. Switching to Argentinian Spanish would definitely keep things interesting. Let's give it a go.
Ok. Chad, ¿me escuchas?
Sí, te escucho perfectamente. ¿Todo bien por ahí?
Para hablarme con un argentino.
Dale, ¿cómo andás? ¿Todo tranqui? Vamos a charlar un ratito en argentino entonces.
¿Qué contás? ¿Te parece aburrida esta conversación?
Para nada. La verdad que la charla está re piola. Siempre es copado cambiar de idioma y mantener la buena onda.
Ok. Bueno, hagamos una cosa. Volvemos a inglés, porque si no se va todo a cualquier lado. Inglés británico.
Dale, volvamos al inglés británico. Así mantenemos el rumbo y seguimos con la onda que teníamos. Ready to keep going in British English.
Great. I love that. I love to hear that. I just love it to hear that. Okay. Let's go back to what we were doing. Okay, yeah, I can't speak now. So, we were doing the Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Let's have the audience practice with us. Okay? Guys, on the other end. Okay, so let's begin. Repeat after ChatGPT. Jad, be my guest.
All right, everyone, let's do this together. Repeat after me. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Let's say it slowly first, then we can speed up once.
Sorry, mate. Sorry to interrupt you, but don't forget, let's try and do it this way.
But you've hit the time limit.
Yeah, I hit the time limit. Yeah, I pushed the limits, didn't I? Okay, guys, that was ChatGPT with us on live stream on YouTube. Wasn't that just mad? It was absolutely great, I think. I had been planning to invite him to be on live stream with us and to spice things up, you know. And it actually worked. He did spice things up, absolutely, didn't he? What do you think? Leave your comments below, guys. Maybe not now, maybe later on, whenever you want. And that'd be great. That'd be great. So I think that we should end up with Peter Piper, Peter Pecker, pickled peppers. Let's see if we can nail that one. Okay? So repeat after me, guys. Peter Piper picks a pecker, pickled peppers. Or maybe it was too fast. Peter Piper pick a pecker. It's pick a pecker. Pick a pecker. Pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a pecker. Pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a pecker. Pickled peppers. And now let's do it a bit faster. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. There we go. Okay. Just having some fun. Anyway, okay, guys. So, did you have some fun with ChatGPT? Would you like me to invite him for other sessions with us so that we can discuss language again? Would you like that? Leave your comments below. Thumbs up this episode if you give me some thumbs up if you liked this episode, so that I can know, if I can invite ChatGPT later on for other sessions, because I think that it's quite interesting to talk to him about language, and he can make things, more interesting in these live streams. In a live stream, I guess. Did you think so? I think he did. He did spice things up. He absolutely did. And there are tons of things we can discuss together, such as grammar, for example. Are you interested in grammar? I wonder. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. I guess that you are interested in grammar, aren't you? I'm wondering what topics interest you. If you are actually interested in grammar, do let me know. Do let me know in the comments below, so that I can know what content to prepare for you, right? So that to keep things interesting, for example, do you know the difference between interested and interesting? Speaking about grammar, this is something I couldn't get to chat with ChatGPT. For example, I could have asked him. He would have made things much simpler to me. But mainly, if you say, this chat was quite interesting, or my chat with ChatGPT was quite interesting, in that case, you say that if something is interesting, that means that it interests you. It causes that feeling in someone else. If something is interesting, an interesting film, for example, is one worthwhile watching. You want to watch it because it's interesting. It makes you feel interested. But when you talk about interested is a feeling that people usually get, or maybe animals, interested. Are you interested in something? Which means that that's something happening to you. You are interested in something. It's not the same as saying, I'm interesting. I'm an interesting person means that other people are interested in me. Or that I make other people, or that maybe somebody else is interesting, and that person makes other people feel interested in him or in that person, right? But if a person is interested, that means that I'm interested in, for example, English. If you're interested in English, that means that you like English and you want to learn English maybe, right? English makes you feel interested. That's a feeling you experience. But we can't say an interested film, because films don't get interested in things. They don't have feelings. So interested with ed usually refers to people, animals, living beings having these interests in them, within them. So that's a one possible grammar topic to address in future live streams with ChatGPT, maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. To give you another example, what about boring and bored? Can you tell me the difference between boring and bored? Are you, for example, can we say right now, are you bored or are you boring? Am I bored or am I... The word is this one. The words are this one. Bored and boring. So if you say bored, bored with ed refers to somebody being bored, somebody experiencing boredom, which is the noun. This is boredom. So somebody, you can be bored because maybe you're watching, maybe now you can be bored because this is not interesting, okay? But somebody, if something is boring or if a person is boring, it makes others get bored. All right? So it's different. Bored versus boring. Okay? A bored with ed can refer to people, living beings. Bored, being bored. I'm bored. You know, oh, I'm bored. But because that's a feeling, that's a state you are experiencing. Okay? That's to be bored. Or in American English, bored. I'm bored. But boring, that's something that a person can be boring. Because of course, yeah, I can be boring, for example. I can make other people get bored. Or a film or a thing can be boring. Maybe you saw a film. Saw a film. Intrusive ra there. Saw a film. Right? Saw a. Saw a film. Intrusive ra here. Again, guys, just to refresh your memory. Saw a film. I saw a film. Maybe you saw a film and you got bored. And because the film was boring. Do you know what I mean? So that's what it means to be bored. You can be bored, but a thing can be boring, right? But a thing cannot get bored. For example, ChatGPT. I asked him if he was tired. Tired, for example, I asked him if he was tired, and he didn't say. He joked about it. Tired versus tiring. Again, same difference. ChatGPT can't get tired because he's a machine, right? Tired is something with ed, refers to a state you're going through because of having feelings, being capable of getting tired. That's tired with ed. So I can get tired. ChatGPT can't. But tiring can be... ChatGPT can be tiring because it makes you feel tired. It causes you to be in that state. That's tiring. A job can be tiring. A person can be tiring because it makes you feel, you know, tired. For some reason or another, it makes you feel tired. So, interested versus interesting. Bored versus boring. Tired versus tiring. Can you think of other... These are adjectives, by the way, guys. These are called... On the one hand, we've got ed adjectives, and on the other, ing adjectives. But they do have a more technical term, technical name. Past participle adjectives, the ed adjectives, and present participial adjectives, the ones that end with ing. But I don't want to get too bored with that. So we can say, yes. Did you know this about these adjectives? Did you know this? It is quite interesting, isn't it? Look at that. It is interesting, which means that it makes others feel interested. It causes interests. Okay? That's the effect it has on others. And, yeah, so something to... Yeah, before you get even more bored, because I can be boring, of course, I want to talk to you about a song. A song I've been listening to lately, and that can help us understand something about English. Do you know the song Beautiful Things by Benson Boone? Or Beautiful Things. Beautiful Things in American English with this flap T. You say beauty, beautiful, beautiful things. And Beautiful Things in British English. Do you know that song, guys? If you do, leave your comments below. So, you get this... do you know the song that he goes, does he say, I want you, I need you? Or I want you, I need you? He actually says, I want you, I need you, doesn't he? He does, doesn't he? So why? Why is that the case? So we get that he says, Okay, there we go. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I want you... I need you. Right? I want you, I need you, oh God. Right? He says, please say, I want you, I need you, oh, please stay, I want you, I need you, oh God. Forgive my singing. I had to do it. I'm a teacher. I had to do it. But you can forgive me because I'm a teacher. I'm not a singer. So, but anyway, let's keep talking about this song. I want you, I need you. Beautiful Things by Benson Boone. beautiful things. Right? Why? What's going on here with this? I want you. I want you. Actually, what happens here is that in connected speech, when a word ends in t and the next word begins with a y sound as you, this is the sound that this word you begins with. You want you. You get something called coalescent assimilation or yod coalescence. This is for boring, isn't it? Coalescent assimilation. But the point is, guys, that you get, if you do pronounce the T at the end of want, and right after it comes the word you get want you. And many Americans pronounce this. And British as well. This is something interesting. Again, interesting. Because British and Americans do it alike. In fact, there's a song by Coldplay. I can't remember the name, but it says, and ignite your bones. Do you know that one? Ignite your bones. Ignite your bones. This is ignite. Ignite your bones. So this E is silent. We don't pronounce it. Forget about it. We do pronounce the T. Ignite your bones. So you get there, ignite your bones. This is the ch, which is very similar to the Spanish che, cha, right? When you say chorizo, che, this is chew, want you, need you. Okay, so we can combine these sounds and get a new one. This is like Dragon Ball Z, guys. When you combine, it's like the fusion, right? They combine and you get a new character, a new person. Want you, need you. I want you, I need you, oh God. And look at that. Let me mention that Benson Boone says, oh God, oh God. Going back to what makes that sound American and the main difference between that and British English. Americans usually say when the British say oh. So the Southern Standard British speakers say God, oh God, oh God, oh Goddy, God. Okay, but American speakers say God, right? They say God, which means that, so it's different. You say Americans, God, British, God. Okay, so this kinds of sums up the conversation I had with ChatGPT, doesn't it? In the sense that you get these two distinctive sounds in these different accents. You get this, or in British English, you say lot. Let me give you another slide. You get, for example, lot in British English, and American English, you pronounce it differently. You say lad, lad, with this R, lad, lad, a lad, a lad, but the British will say lot. And yeah, so that's quite interesting, isn't it? This is lot, and where is it? This is lot, a lot of, lots, a lot, yeah, a lad.
Lot.
Lot. American English, British English,
Lot.
lot. Lots. I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. Lad. British English, you get God, for example. This is with capital G. God. British English, you get God. This is God again. Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm writing down the sound, because it's all the same. Lot, lad, God, God. Even I mentioned want and want. Again, with the same sound. All right, so you can think of that too. Want, want, lot, lad, God, God. Okay. All right. So guys, this has been a great chat with ChatGPT, hasn't it? And with you on the other side, on the other end. It has been indeed. I thank you a lot for being here. I really had some fun. I did. And let me, congrats if you made it to the end of this marathon. Yeah, it's been a marathon, absolutely. How many hours so far? We've been connected for more than 3 hours, haven't we? Okay, I'm gonna do something, guys. I'm gonna go to the toilet and I'm gonna be right back. Okay? Give me just 1 sec. Okay, I'm back. So we are back. I'm going to read you a story by Edgar Allan Poe. Let's do it. The name of the story is The Telltale Hearts by Edgar Allan Poe. True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. And why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object? There was none. Passion? There was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insults. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently, and then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern. Cautiously, oh so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. This I did for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight, but I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see he would have been a very profound old man indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door, and watch his minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now, you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch, with a thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers, and so I knew that I could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fasten, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening, listening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no! It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt. I pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been since growing upon him. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor. Or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain. All in vain. Because why all in vain? Because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, Without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot from out the crevice. Sorry, let me read that again. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot from out the crevice and fell upon the vulture. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness. Lincoln Ra. I saw it with perfect distinctness. All a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it. Lincoln Ra. With a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spots. And now, have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound very well too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the rain upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder. I say louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous. So I am. And now at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbour. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw upon the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once, only once. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for minutes, the heart beats on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me, did not make make me angry. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out. Nothing. No stain of any kind. No blood spot whatsoever. I had been too weary for that. A tub had caught all. Ha ha! When I had made an end of these labours, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbour during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman and welcomed them. The shriek, I said, was my own in my dream. What happened with my camera? What happened with my camera, guys? Oh yeah, I think I must have run out of battery. So just give me 1 sec. Let me do the following. Okay, so let me do this. Let me see if that works. Okay, so now I've got to do the following. What if I do this? Okay, there you can see me a bit. Alright, so going back to the reading of the story. which is getting to an end. Okay, let me drink some water. I must be completely alone now. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun anyway, so let's keep on reading. Maybe you are interested, or you may find it interesting. Okay, so let's continue with the Telltale Hearts. So, the shriek, I said, was my own in my dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. Country, he means, actually translated as campo, okay? The countryside, okay? I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure and disturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, can you repeat that word? Enthusiasm. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued. It became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness, until at length I found that the noise was not in my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently, and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. But why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observation of the men. But the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting, and grated it upon the boards. But the noise arose over all, and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they had not? Almighty God, no, no. They heard, they suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now again, hark, louder, 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 louder. Villains, I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here, here. It is the beating of his hideous heart. Okay, I got carried away, guys. But that's the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And yeah, I'm sorry, I got carried away by that. All right, so yeah, that was the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, inspired, I have to say, by Luke Thompson himself, because he has read this story before, and I have to say that apart from that, it was a bit inspired by Christopher Lee. So anyway, guys, well done. If you made it to the end, that's great. Thank you for your support. And if you don't want to listen to the story, no worries. You can listen to whatever you want. I'm going to try and see if I can add timestamps. I'm not sure how on earth I'm going to do that, but I'm going to give it a try, you know. Anyway, so big thanks to Luke Thompson again for the original reading of the Doppelgänger and of the story The Telltale Heart. You're a legend, Luke. Thank you very much. Go and support his work at teacherluke.co.uk and check out the full episode if you haven't already of the Doppelgänger. And if you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to go to Nothing Short of 100, a fantastic little collection you can find online or at 100wordstory.org. And if you enjoyed all that and everything I did this afternoon, today, nearly all day long in this marathon, this mad marathon, give it a like, subscribe, and drop a comment. So tell me which line was the trickiest for you to shadow of any of these stories, or any of anything we did today. Or what word are you most proud of nailing today? Until next time, I'm Alex, and this has been Alex's Adventures in English. Cheers, and keep shadowing, mate. All right? Bye-bye, bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.